Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by my two phenomenal peers, my co-host, Brack, Damon, Dawg, live, fresh off the practice field. Arizona Cardinals, Indianapolis Colts wrap up day one of joint practices in sunny Indianapolis. Fellas, how we living out there in the Midwest?
A couple inaccuracies there in your open, but I appreciate you. I see you working, but we are actually just getting on the practice field. Like, our time on the practice field is just beginning. We're literally on the grass here, out in the heart of America, out in Westfield, Indiana, the site of Indianapolis Colts training camp, where this was an electric atmosphere. There were Colts fans all over the place, a smattering of Cardinals fans, and we saw a strong performance from Kyler Murray and crew, and we're excited to tell everybody else about it. And Damon, Dawg, was over there watching the Cardinals defense as well, that I think showed up in day one of this 2-day joint practice. We talked to Jonathan Gannon after practice, talked to a little XT, Owen Papo, and I think the vibes are high, continue to be high around this Cardinals team, Johnny.
Sweet, innocent, newborn baby, Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire. First of all, I disagree with Bo said. Both things I don't know about the Midwest. I was born and bred in the Midwest. Ooh. Those are my roots. Those are my people, my brethren. So hopefully Damon will be a little bit more forgiving of his co-host back, holding it down in the Valley. But Damon, Dawg, loving the content, loving the tweets you were putting out there on the practice field. Immediate takeaways from the Arizona Cardinals against what I think is going to be a playoff caliber team in Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, I mean, me and Bo kind of did a divide and conquer setup there. They have two fields and they're running, Cards offense versus Colts defense on one, and Colts offense versus Cards defense on the other. And I was focusing mainly on the defense. It was a really hot start, I'd say, for the Cardinals defense. They were probably taking it to the Colts pretty early on. I tweeted it out, lots of underneath stuff from the Colts, lots of checkdowns from Anthony Richardson and co. Joe Flacco looked pretty bad in my opinion, but yeah, I mean, the Cardinals defense wasn't really giving it up anything. They were looking real tough out there. I liked what I saw out of the defensive back group, but then as practice started to go on, Michael Pittman started to, kind of show out a little bit. Anthony Richardson was letting the arm show out and displaying that rocket that he has, and the Colts offense started to pick up.
Would you say, gentlemen, that the Cardinals won this first day? Because again, it's tough to pick up highlights, clips from practice, some tweets from the Indianapolis folk that have been very adamant that the Cardinals were taking it to the defensive backs for the Colts. Like, if you guys had an unbiased opinion, did the Cardinals win day one a joint practice? Oh, did we lose them? My lost. Okay, we're back. We're back. Who won day one of practice, joint practice out of Indy?
I think you would probably, if this were a game, you would see the Cardinals came out to a pretty strong lead. Took a lead. As Damon said, it was similar as far as on the offensive side of the football. Despite the Colts having a bunch of wins in their pass rush, and Kwity Paye, and you've got Latu now, the first round pick out of UCLA. As good as they looked up front, DeForest Buckner, I think they struggled in the defensive secondary, and Kyler Murray was finding, an array of his wide receivers, started by targeting Michael Wilson as he's done throughout camp, and then heated up with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that they connected on each and every one of his 4 targets today. Saw a little bit sprinkled in some Greg Dortch. How about some Trey McBride? Maybe even a Tip Ryman here. And the Arizona Cardinals offense looked strong early on, and if it was about putting up points, if they were to move the chains down the field, I think the Cardinals would have put themselves in a position to put those points on the board. And then the final series, I overheard, a key offensive coach for the Cardinals tell a key defensive coach for the Colts, like, we had you early there. We were beating up on you, and then you got us at the end. And I think that's kind of the consensus even the paid attendance saw. It was the Cardinals offense against the Colts defense. And as Damon outlined, early the Cardinals defense not giving Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, and crew too much. And I think that they would have put out a lead and would have been in a position if this were an actual game to maybe hang on.
Really promising, because you think about the landscape of the NFL, and a lot of people put the Colts in this tier of a fringe playoff team, but a lot of people don't do that with the Arizona Cardinals, fair or not. And I know that's maybe a byproduct, gentlemen, of the division that the Colts play in. The AFC South is not great, although the AFC top to bottom is flipping loaded. Here's what I'll say. Kyler Murray appeared to have what looks like a dominant performance, and that's the X factor, right? We're going to talk later about the Vikings and their dismal situation at quarterback. We're going to laugh at the fact that a team is relying on Sam Darnold in the year of our football Lord 2024, right? Matthew Stafford left practice. And ho-hum, there's K1, there's Kyler Murray dominating practice yet again, this time against a live opponent for another team. My question, gentlemen, you guys can throw this up and answer it as you would like, but there was some pushback. Why isn't Kyler Murray playing in the preseason? He played 8 games last year. What's the deal? Do you believe, I know it's only been 1 day, do you believe that they're getting enough out of Kyler Murray, the competitiveness in practice, the live reps from another team to say, okay, we're seeing what we need to. He's cooking with gas. Whatever happens this week with K1 is going to carry over to Buffalo week 1.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think that's the philosophy and the mentality moving forward, that they're going to utilize these 2 games and kind of to see K1 verse in opposition without, putting him in any of the 3 preseason games. And, I think that they saw enough through training camp and his grasp of the offense, having command of the offense, and then also going out there and letting it rip with his playmakers as he continued to do today. And that's, you already started to kind of see what it could resemble come week 1 in Orchard Park against the Buffalo Bills, who don't have, I don't think, anything close. Like, I know Ed Oliver's a good anchor in the interior, and then they've got some guys on the outside, but nothing that resembles like Kwity Paye and Latu coming off the edge like the Colts have. But this was a nice dress rehearsal for this team, and it's evolving. Like, things just keep on changing as far as how teams approach the preseason. I heard Aaron Rodgers talking about that. Like, it's a stark difference between how teams operate, and you're seeing even in the few reps that some of these teams take, they're paying dearly. And I think the Arizona Cardinals don't want to compromise anything as far as the regular season by trying to figure out or get their guys live reps when they feel like they can just do it in the practice. They have confidence and conviction in their practice setup that they're going to get guys up to speed enough to where when the lights are on and as bright as they can be during the NFL season, that their guys are going to hit the ground running.
Yeah, it says it's cliche to suggest this, but I think Cardinal fans needed to hear this today, that the offense went out and was cooking with gas, right? We saw numerous reports, especially from PHNX Cardinals on Twitter. Go ahead and give them a follow. Give us a follow. That Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., even Trey McBride were getting open against the Colts secondary, and Kyler Murray was getting his, right? I think, Bo, you reported Kyler at one point only had 2 incompletions through the majority of practice. The Cardinals are going to need to play that style of football the first 8 games of the season. And I'm hopeful after what we saw in the preseason. Damon, after your report today, the defense looks good at times. You cannot go into this first 8-game stretch against multiple playoff teams with Pro Bowl caliber quarterbacks, assuming that you're going to win games 21-17. Like, right. I think you need to do exactly what it sounds like took place today in Indianapolis, jump out to big leads, right? Put pressure on the opposing quarterback, whether it's Gardner Minshew, I know he's not in Indianapolis anymore, Anthony Richardson, Stafford, Josh Allen, where they have to throw from behind and let the Cardinals be able to pin their ears back defensively. The Cardinals have to win games 30-35. They have to win games 32-27, I believe, to start this year. And if the defense overachieves, then we'll be pleasantly surprised. But I would be much more
wins in there that nobody was anticipating. Like, if the defense shows up, then you get some comfortable wins, and it's not just a back and forth, and whoever has the ball last probably has the best chance to get out of there with the dub. The Kyler performance in the playmaker, like it wasn't just like Kyler going out there dinking and dunking and throwing it, just takes a snap and immediately hits Michael Wilson or immediately hits Marvin Harrison Jr. These were took the snap, dropped back, went through his progressions, and was finding chunk yardage with these players. I mean, it was Michael Wilson, and I think 3 for 3 today in targets and receptions, and Marv was 4 for 4, and Trey was like, I think 1 for 1, big 15-yard play over the middle, and also utilization of Marvin Harrison Jr. We're seeing a lot of him over the middle of the field making plays and stuff that I think Kyler took some criticism for early in his career. That could he make those medium throws over the middle of the field, and we certainly saw that already on display today.
I can't speak to what happened during the team drills and the 7-on-7 as much, but in the 1-on-1s, at least, when Kyler Murray was throwing to his like premier targets, the Greg Dortches, the Zay Joneses, the Marvin Harrison Juniors, the Michael Wilsons of the world, those passes were being completed. I think there was some rougher stretches when Tune and Ritter were throwing the football, but when Kyler was throwing to his top guys, his top weapons against the Colts starting defensive backs, the Cardinals were cooking.
Yeah, well, that's promising. Again, like the Colts, I'm not going to suggest they were some juggernaut defensively, last year, but they won their fair share of close games. They held Pittsburgh to 13 points last year. They beat Tampa Bay, who was a playoff team, surrendered only 20 points. I mean, they were competitive enough defensively last year, and that's before, Bo, you mentioned, they added what many believe is the best pass rusher in this draft in Latu out of UCLA. So this is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a dumpster defense a la New England right now, who's selling off Matthew Judon a month before the season. We're going to talk about that. This is not the dismal Carolina Panthers. This is a team that was one possession away from making the playoffs last year in what many assume would be a rebuilding year. And of course, there's that clip that's kind of going viral on social media. We've got it at PHNX Cardinals. Kenny Moore, who had interest from the Cardinals this offseason, opted to stay in Indianapolis. The highest paid nickel corner in the NFL, plays a lot, right? Attempted to cover Marvin Harrison Jr. in the flat, and Marvin Harrison Jr. proceeded to cook him gracefully, like only Marv can do, for a big time gain. So, this is a good litmus test for the Cardinals, and I think they're being proven right because, Bo, I think there's a segment of Cardinal fans, fair or not, that say, yeah, Kyler looks good, but it's against our defense, right? And we don't have any household names, especially at cornerback, and they don't have a pass rusher. And I think a lot of people aren't going to believe it until they see it with their eyes on NFL Sundays. But, I mean, when you're coming out and putting out this kind of performance, if you're K1, other quarterbacks around the NFL, not named Mahomes, Josh Allen, et cetera, are having these kind of performances. I just feel like Kyler Murray's performance today and what he's been doing throughout this training camp, it might be the most dismal reported news of this NFL cycle during training camp. If I have to hear one more garbage report, respectfully, I love our peeps at DMVR, about underneath dump offs, about Bo Nix completing passes wide open to the flat to a running back, I'm going to throw up. It's one of those things where people are purposely not giving K1 their due, not this show, not this program. And then you see that today, and the Indianapolis media can't hide from it. Their defensive coordinator can't. This is truly what I believe. We're seeing the appetizer, the main course. It's going to happen a month from Sunday.
Oh, it'd be beautiful. But I think that people were anticipating this being as far along as it is. They just saw, Kyler Murray's coming back from an ACL injury. We see him come back and, what I think people would probably say are pedestrian, but if you do, especially he was up against, technique, learning a brand new offense, getting into that rhythm and timing, a whole new set of playmakers. And then where those playmakers are, it's they don't understand where, a high level dude like Michael Wilson could potentially go off of a 500-yard rookie season, right? And where, what Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do for the other playmakers, and Trey McBride after an absolute breakout, 80-plus catches, 800 yards, and what Greg Dortch has the potential to do in consistent playing time offensively, and then just what the team wants to do and run the football. And I think some of the pass rush defending in pass pro today could be helped, remedied by this team running its actual, true offense where it's going to ground and pound you. And then once you start to creep up, then they're going to really unleash Kyler and these playmakers.
Yeah, it'd be great to see. These super chats are great to see. Let's jump into a couple here, Damon. I'll cue these up. Mike Sabo, 199. Let's rock and roll, Mike. Let's rock and roll. Great to be joined by the fellas in Indy. We're going to have live shows from Indy today and tomorrow, and then we're back on a Football Friday to preview Saturday's matchup in Indianapolis. Thank you so much, Mike, for the super chat. Next up, Corey Cards, 499. Only have one question. Bo, is the offensive line getting dominated on some Colts beats reported? Were the Cardinals O-line struggling?
Yeah, there was definite struggles. I mean, I think the Colts have to come away from this saying, "Hey, up front, look strong." And I think the Cardinals in pass pro, they probably wanted to perform a little bit better. And like this is many big plays and chunk plays as they were able to get. In spite of that, I think like there was the final series that the offense got, at least the ones got. It was the worst one of the day where, Froholt snaps it into the ground and Kyler has to just fall on it. And then, there's a penalty and then Kyler just has to kind of throw a ball in the dirt. And it was just, it was a disaster. But they were able to overcome where maybe they were getting beat up front by the Colts pass rush by they didn't complement each other as far as the rush and cover part of this game where the defensive backs had a tough day.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't really talked about, it's funny. I was thinking about this gentleman like 2 days ago, Jonah Williams, like really, we haven't discussed him at all since the signing. And now I was thinking about what if Jonah Williams has a tough time, at least initially jumping from left tackle to right tackle, now to right tackle on a new scheme. Like I could see there's a scenario, and I hope not, that the Jonah Williams has to have a kind of a setting in period, because again, like I understand the Cardinals maybe had a tough time today. They're breaking in a new left guard and a new right tackle. I don't think there's excuses for Froholt and Hernandez. And then, obviously Paris is playing a new position. So there's just still some rust you got to knock off. So anxious to see how Jonah Williams performs tomorrow. Hopefully he can rebound. How about this from Tay, 499? What's up, Tay? Thank you so much for the super chat. Better get to meet you guys at the game. Been waiting since the combine. Well, I think the fellers are taking off before the game, Tay, assuming that you're in Indianapolis. But if you're ever in sunny Arizona, my friend, hit us up. DMs are wide open. Get you 4 peaks on us, any kind of brew you want, and we'll do some hanging. But fellas are taking off out of Indy early Friday morning.
That's right. Yeah, if your chance to see us would be at tomorrow's joint practice as it continues. Just if you're in the up in the stands, just shout us out, and we would gladly hang out, watch some ball together.
Hell yeah. Tay's on the board with another super chat. Thank you so much, Tay. 499. Fun story. I'm a chef at a country club in Indy and got to cook for Shane Steichen. That's awesome. And his fam. Unlike Johnny, he cleaned his plate. Well, did Shane Steichen first have just a plethora of delicious appetizers? Because again, that's where your boy was done dirty by our friends at St. Elmo's in the best possible way. But
let me ask you this. Will you ever truly hold yourself accountable for that night?
No, I won't. And again, here's what we're going to do, because this is the year of retribution for your boy. It started at the 9-9-9. It continued at pickleball, and it will culminate next February/March at the NFL Combine. Well, I will eat the biggest steak of everybody in attendance. You will put a steak in front of me at St. Elmo's. It will be bigger than Britton Golden's, Damon Dawg's, Bo Brack, whomever, Shane Diefenbach, if he's in attendance. I will have the biggest steak, and I will eat it to completion.
Wow. Okay.
That's big of you.
But yeah, it is very big.
But there will never be, hey, that was an off night for your boy.
No.
I didn't finish my steak. Excuses be damned. I'm holding myself accountable. I'm taking the arrow to the head for this.
I'm about looking forward and moving forward. And again, I feel like you guys
You can't move forward without exactly if you don't approach head on where you fell short.
I feel like I don't feel like I ate 9 hot dogs in 2.5 hours. I feel like that should buy me some grace a little bit on this program. I had too many appetizers, and I still finished a good amount of what was, I believe it was a 14-ounce ribeye. I think it was the biggest ribeye that St. Elmo's makes. So again, I know you guys were hanging out in the single digits. You were more comfortable with an 8-ouncer.
I had the same steak as you.
Damon did have the same steak as you.
I don't remember that. I must have missed that. Lasso, $2. I'm not sure what this means. Johnny's EV couldn't make it there in time. I'm not sure. What's EV stand for?
I don't know.
Lots of you have to further elaborate in the comments here. So much good stuff. We got almost 900 people watching the show on a Football Thursday. First of all, we appreciate all of you. Wednesday. Football Wednesday. Yeah. Like this video. Like it right now. Everybody go over to YouTube. Let's get 500 likes on this show. Help pass it around the YouTube algorithm. Electric vehicle. I don't own an electric vehicle.
He's a truck guy.
That's right. I am a truck guy. And that's a perfect segue, Bo, into you talking about Sanderson Ford for us.
That's right. And I can't wait. Once we get back, it's wheels down in the Valley of the Sun. I'm going to head over and I'm going to test drive with our friends over at Sanderson Ford a brand new F-150 XLT. Cannot wait for it. Already coordinated with my guy Dan and our guy Max over there. Set us up and going to be cruising off the lot and checking it out, see if it's for the Brack family. But one thing I can anticipate, if I do pull the trigger on this, it's going to be the no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense approach. They're not going to go and just try to wait me out and it just become, torture fest as far as trying to buy a vehicle. No, Sanderson Ford does it better than anybody. And they've been around the Valley for over, as long as we can remember. You go up here and they're just woven within the fabric of Arizona. Their 65-acre facility. This is the largest dealership in the nation. They've got a 0% financing for 36 months, no payments for 90 days on the F-150, the Escape, the Edge, the Explorer, and Expedition. I cannot wait to get back to the Valley of the Sun. I cannot wait to drop off our rental car. I told Damon, Dawg, and bless PHNX's hearts for supplying us with a rental car. But I would be embarrassed if they saw me driving around and this poor of an excuse of a rental car. I think I wanted to park down the street and walk to the facility before the joint practices. And it's not, you're never going to have that issue with a brand new Ford or whatever you can find is in the used variety over at Sanderson Ford. We have a summer sales event, and they're teaming up with the boys this summer. D-backs remain hot. They stay hot, and they're making their push for the playoffs. You can purchase or lease any new Ford and get 4 tickets for you and your family to go see the D-backs push for the playoffs. Get the 0% 36 months OAC from Ford Credit. See dealer for details.
Everybody's taking shots at me in the chat, unprompted shots. Multiple people are saying I drive a Prius. That's not true. Jess is saying that I'm going to be pulled behind Bo's truck on my rollerblades. That's also not true. I haven't rollerbladed since grade school. You got the smart asses in the chat. Do me a favor, drop a like. We got almost 1,000 people watching live here on Wednesday night. And again, you might be willing to gamble on anything other than Sanderson Ford, which I would highly, highly recommend against. But I'm ready to gamble with our friends at Bet365. I can bet right now, if I go to Bet365, the newly up-to-date app with the PHNX bonus code PHNX365, checking out the lines, gentlemen, for this Saturday's matchup, Cardinals at Colts. Can anybody tell me, Bet365, can anybody tell me what the line is for this weekend?
I would say Colts -3.5.
You're almost spot on. It is Colts -3, -110. The Cardinals are +3, and the over/under 36.5.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? 36.5 over/under.
That's tiny. That's a tiny over/under. Cardinals haven't traditionally in the preseason put up points. You get a vanilla variety of offense. The defense,
Sam Ehlinger, probably a heavy dose of Sam Ehlinger for the Colts versus Clayton Tune and Ritter. Yeah. I'm assuming Joe Flacco is probably not going to play too much in a preseason
for
game.
Somebody that wants to thrive off of betting the over and feel that alive. I don't know, man. I stay away from that.
Well, the Cardinals, you think about last weekend, guys, the Cardinals only gave up 1 touchdown.
Right.
I mean, they gave up a couple field goals and they gave up a touchdown that had to be reversed into a touchdown. So, I think I'm with you guys. I think I like the under in this game. I think I like it a lot. I think I like the Cardinals mojo. I'm going to tell you what I also like. I also like loading up on the bonus code PHNX365 right now. All you got to do in your newly created Bet365 app, deposit $10 and get to choose bet or get offer. $5 or more, you get $150 in bonus bets. Or if you're looking, hey, I like a line, I want to go big, the first net safety bet offer placing up to $1,000. If your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. But you got to dabble with our newest partner, the best sporting app there is, Bet365. Right now, download the Bet365 app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it's never ordinary with Bet365. You got to be 21 years and older. And unlike my two co-hosts right now, you got to be physically located in the great state of Arizona. If you were someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Gentlemen, for more information, I wouldn't bet with anybody else, and I'm betting we got some sweet, sweet highlights from today at Indy. Gentlemen, walk us through what took place on the practice field.
All right, this is a first glimpse of Marv on the day, just warming up with the other wide receivers. Here's a nice little one-handed catch for Trey McBride. A lot of that in the training camp with McBride. Here's Dortch just going to work. Man,
where are you at?
I mean, just
that was so dirty. That was so dirty.
Tons of space created. Is this the great? This is Michael Wilson going deep to the end zone, getting his feet down, elite ball spin. And Mike Wheeler's fired up by that. Here's the clip we were talking about. This is MHJ versus Kenny Moore, highest paid nickel in the league. Kyler Murray letting him get open, goes to work, creates a ton of space, pulls it down, and is off to the races. He's ready for the 7s and the 11s the rest of the practice. Like, you got anything else to throw my way? Because this is the best you got. And that's what he did to Kenny Moore. Pretty solid day at the office for Kyler Murray and his playmakers, especially his playmakers.
That Dortch highlight, I had not seen that. Put that poor guy. I wish we could. Can we see that highlight one more time? That poor guy was put in the ground.
It was on his rollerblades. It was when he caught too much speed. Maybe he was going backwards. I don't know. Here it comes.
Watch this. Oh my God. He's turned all the way around.
And he gets like 20 yards of yak afterwards.
Don't you think 35 should have just since he was jogging the other way, just jog right into the locker room?
Yeah, just turn in your pads, young man.
How about that toe tap from Michael Wilson?
I mean, the Cardinals' offensive skill players are ridiculous. Like the big four, maybe the most slept on. As much as Kyler Murray slept on. Like, look at this. Oh, abused, open, whatever. I mean, like, you see these highlights, and again, there's no pass rush, but when people in the offseason are hyping up Hollywood Brown, we're sitting there like, have you watched Hollywood Brown play football? And hyping up, respectfully, Rondale Moore and some of these teams that are just kind of grabbing for straws. Chase Claypool was like the Bills' number 2 receiver. He's out for the year. And the Cardinals go 4 deep with their receiver/tight ends that have that kind of ability. I mean, it's just like, at some point, people are going to catch on, and some comments earlier, like everybody's going to sleep on the Cardinals till they win games, and that's 100% true. But how many receiving cores are putting together this kind of showcase this training camp? I'll give credit. Chicago's receiving core looks good, but outside of the usual suspects here, I mean, good Lord, that is impressive stuff.
I think that Chicago, and there's a ton of receiving cores that can say, hey, we feature a strong trio of wide receivers, but I think that the depth that they added in Zay Jones, and I saw a play to open up one of the offensive series by the first where Chris Moore went streaking down the sideline. It was, I think it was a busted coverage, but Chris Moore, a guy that, we knew takes the top off of the defense. I don't know if he registered because he didn't have enough snaps last year, but averaged over 18 yards per catch. And this was a huge catch that he made from Kyler Murray. If Moore makes it, because obviously what he can do in the receiving game and then his special teams prowess, if he can make this roster, crack this room, I mean, it's like you got, obviously your do everything guys in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, and then of course Greg Dortch and Zay Jones. And then you look at some guys that maybe can play a specific role like Chris Moore. It's going to be huge. You can kind of get to 5 deep, and then you add, it's like, oh yeah, and also Trey McBride, an elite tight end, and then a really unbelievable run game led by James Conner.
I'll tell you who I'm impressed with, Damon and Bo, that I don't know if he's going to make the team. He looked great Saturday night. He's looked great in training camp. He's got a knack for special teams. Dan Chesnia right now catches every ball thrown to him. He's the anti-Andy Isabella out there with number 17. He's getting rid of all the voodoo witchcraft that has ever gone on with that number.
The idea.
Chesnia, if he gets cut, will be claimed by another team. And the Cardinals have a tough decision to make with the needed pass rusher, and we can transition into Matthew Judon here in a second.
Yeah.
Could you envision a scenario in which the Cardinals have enough assets at receiver that they could flip one or multiple for help defensively? Because again, like who are you keeping? Let's do that. I guess that's a better exercise. How many receivers are making this team, gentlemen? You guys count them out.
I think six. So, all right, let's go. Obviously, the easy ones: MHJ,
the big four,
Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Zay Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then it gets tough. Then you've got two spots, right? And like Chisnia, who I think led the team, according to PFF last week in the preseason, he had another big play where he connected with Clayton Tune today, and he's already known for his ability on teams.
Great.
Didn't he play in the postseason last year?
He was on the Ravens AFC Championship roster. They claimed him. He was active. He played coverage for them. I mean, like
if he can become a younger version, like you've got Pascal, like those are the guys. It's like Chisnia, Pascal, I think has the edge because what he does within the locker room, and he does a lot of the dirty work, and with the new special teams, the dynamic kickoff and stuff. I think having a guy that's seen mostly everything in teams, like I think he's got a little bit of an edge. And then Chris Moore. And then you got the young guys like T-Palm. You got Tayshaun Palmer.
He made a nice catch today. I saw in one-on-ones that was for a touchdown. So,
and then Xavier Weaver made a really good play as an undrafted guy out of Colorado who's really flashed throughout camp and had a good day today. And I think a really solid preseason debut. It's a numbers crunch, man. I think you've got four guys for two spots.
I'm gonna take a page out of Johnny's book here, and respectfully, I have not seen Zach Pascal make a single play in all of the training camp practices or today's joint practice that I've been a part of. The thing that's concerning about Zach Pascal that where I think that he probably ends up making the roster, and I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but every time that they're doing a drill, he's first guy up to do it. He is leading the team ahead of Marv. Marv's taking a back seat, going second while Zach Pascal goes first. And to me, a lot of the time that speaks a lot louder than just saying that the guy's going to be on the roster, because it shows that he's, kind of taking those reps. So part of me thinks Pascal should make it, but honestly, I wouldn't put him on the roster if I was making that decision.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, Damon, unlike my co-host, but here's what I will say. Zach Pascal to me was a guy they identified last offseason to help set the culture. The culture is built now. And now it becomes who's going to help? What's the best 53-man roster we can put together to help us win games on Sunday? Mm-hmm. Now, Zach Pascal is a tremendous run blocker. But again, I think it's DEFCON 5, and we saw it last year. You don't want him any part near your offense. Whereas, I don't think anybody would have if Dan Chesney had to go out there and run a route right now, I wouldn't have any concerns about it. Guy catches flipping everything. But I'm with you. I think Chris Moore is a lock to make this team. They signed him early in free agency. He's not going anywhere. Plus, he's got a skill set that will translate. If you want to have 5 receiver sets, or if Dortch or God forbid Marvin or Michael has to step out, you could put him out there for a possession. Then it becomes Chesnia versus Zach Pascal. Both, I think Chesnia is the better version of Pascal right now. But again, can Pascal with his leadership qualities kind of overtake Chesnia? I think that's a coin flip. But looking at overthecap.com, you cut Zach Pascal, you're going to save a little bit of money too. Chesney is not costing you anything. So
you don't have to though. That's not a big deal.
No, but I'm saying we're going to talk about it now. $53 million this team has to spend. And oh, by the way, Matthew Judon was just traded earlier today, gentlemen, from the Patriots to the Atlanta Falcons for a 3rd-round pick, which being reported a contract is pending. They're going to get one worked out. The Arizona Cardinals, per Albert Breer, sniffed around the availability of Judon. Yeah, here it is. Coming off an injury last year of his deal, Pats fielded calls on Judon the last couple of weeks, with Arizona and Chicago among the teams checking in. There were additional reports, gentlemen, this afternoon. Judon had a very hot market. So this was an asset that multiple teams were pursuing. And a 3rd-round pick was probably obviously the best offer they got. Probably want to ship him out of the AFC. As much as I think this team needs pass rush help, and it's funny to see people kind of toe the line with this a little bit, a 3rd-rounder for a 32-year-old is not my bag. Reddick, that's a different story. Familiarity with JG, he's 29. I don't care about the money. You want to give a third-round pick to the Jets? Do it, 100%. Judon, though, paying an old player at 32, like you can fuck around and do that in the NFC South. The NFC West, that is a deal that, gentlemen, could come back to haunt you.
Well, they've been searching for pass rush, it feels like forever in Atlanta, right? And
Dick Beasley, is that the last guy?
Probably to do it at a decent clip, but it's been maybe even before that, like Jonathan Abraham. Like it's been a long time. And I think that they feel like they're close, especially they've got the weakest schedule in the NFL by a long shot. And they've got Kirk Cousins coming off an injury that they gave over $100 million guaranteed to. They probably could have gotten a pass rusher without, spending a third-round pick by taking one in the first round, instead of another quarterback. That would have been a good idea, right? Instead of, a backup quarterback, the overcorrection and like, hey, we have no quarterbacks, let's get two of them. Third-round pick, that's pretty rich. I don't know if they've already started to work on maybe an extension. That was what Judon's biggest sticking point was, but he also probably didn't want to have to sit and watch bad football for a full season either. But I just don't know if that's the player, if they sniffed around and said, hey, what's a day 3 pick look like to you? And they just said, yeah, we think we can go higher.
The fact that the Cardinals checked in, though, it does leave some credence to the fact that maybe Haason Reddick could be an option for this team now that he's no longer a Philadelphia Eagle. So that'll be interesting to see play out. But furthermore, are the Pats going to win a football game this season? I don't think they'll win one. They're probably going to win like 2. It's going to be pretty brutal, and no one deserves it more than Patriots fans after what they got for 20 years.
It's time to be bad. And the Patriots, if that wasn't already a lock win, that's an unequivocal blowout later this year for the Arizona Cardinals. And again, I'm with you. Like the Falcons, after they butchered the draft and they had to explain to their elderly owner what was happening with Michael Penix the night of the first round, like you can't screw around and not win the division. So this is a move to win the division in 2024. Where the Cardinals, that's not their timeline. Their timeline is they're trying to compete this year for a playoff spot and then have sustainable success. Judon now off the board. You mentioned him, Damon, Dawg. Haason Reddick, I think if he wasn't already, I believe he will become the primary target. I had a conversation earlier today with somebody. If Haason Reddick is still available before the start of the regular season, I think there's a good chance the Jets trade him. If there's a period to get this resolved, I believe it's within the next month for the Jets. Obviously, after the statement, their GM, Joe Douglas, who could very well be fired in 6 months, the statement he put out there, basically saying we're not trading him, you then can't turn around and trade him within the first week or so.
Right.
But if we're sitting here and it's final cuts and the Jets team is the Jets team and where's Haason Reddick, I think that's your window if you're Monti Ossenfort and the Arizona Cardinals to at least stay on speed dial for Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. Because again, with each passing day, the Jets, they want to help save face. They want to be made whole. But I do think now with this Judon deal and what I believe is a little bit of a gross overpay by Atlanta, you might have to get comfortable sending a third, maybe plus a player to the Jets. I put out there my trade proposal, and a lot of Twitter snarks came at me and said, a 4th and a 6th and Cam Thomas, that's too much, Johnny. Oh, no, it's too much for a guy who's had 4 double-digit sack seasons in a row. And you've got Matthew Judon's 32-year-old ass off of 4 sacks and an injury getting traded for a third. So maybe everybody calm down.
Well, Terry Fontenot it just loves lighting third-round picks on fire. Well, Monti Ossenfort likes to accumulate them because he can turn those into starters. Well, the Atlanta Falcons can't. And look, I think that remains seeking to do and to find consistent, sustained success, right? And going, and even though Haason Reddick is a good player, Matthew Judon a good player, and guys who can be productive off the edge and fill a need, this is a team that feels like they can find starter caliber players with a 3rd-round pick. And even if they've got cap money left over, they have the ability to wisely spend cap where they need to. And they're not just going to spend money and trade assets to do it and fill a need for now when their mission is consistent, sustainable success going forward. They want to have a more complete roster and having that third for right now and that cap space gives them the ability to continue to do that beyond 2024. And they like their team now. I don't think anybody would say confidently like that they don't have, their own concerns about the pass rush, but the opportunity just hasn't presented itself to where they can get better, and it makes sense with what their plan is as a team, as an organization going forward.
Jumping into some more super chats, but before we do, let me tell you about our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Nobody does it better here in Arizona. Multiple locations, 4 to be a matter of fact, including my personal favorite. How about our friends at Wild Horse Pass? Lounge at either the AAA Four Diamonds Resort and let relaxation take charge with unbeatable desert and mountain views and vibes. Frankly, go all in with 4,500 slots, live table games. It's a place that we frequent often, our draft party, and we'll be there this fall. Can't wait to tell you more about our plans with Gila River Resorts and Casinos in terms of maybe on game day. Stay tuned for that. Go big or go home. From upscale to approachable, casual to classy, from bar to bar none, they have a ton of fantastic stuff, not even just on football Sundays. Elevate your experience. How about Friday night, Saturday night? Unbeatable views atop the rooftop restaurant, Prime A Shoeless Steakhouse. Again, and a lot of people think of, casinos. I don't know if that's the right place for me and my spouse, right, to get away. You talk about cleanliness, accommodations, great vibes. They've got a tremendous pool, bar scene. Everything you want is at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We will be hosting events this year, all year round, for Cardinals and Suns, watch parties, and more. Again, stay tuned for that information. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com, gentlemen, for more details.
I can't wait for our fantasy football draft that we're going to have at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. That's going to be electric.
Everybody loves a great draft, right? I mean, it's elite when you do it right, and we're absolutely going to do that right because of our friends over at Gila River. We already did it on a high level this past draft season when the line was held, and we had a huge celebration together. The drafting of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Darius Robinson and Michael Wilson coming and hanging out and breaking down the pick with us on site. It's unbelievable. And also when you think about the draft, we think about where we are right now, Indianapolis, and we think about a lot of hard work put in by this group and many more, Britton Golden and Shane Diefenbach, but we also think about some long nights, right? Maybe going out there and having a couple pops, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. What is that what we had at the Whiskey Cokes at St. Elmo's?
That's right. St. Elmo's signature drink there. But we got a game changer now when we come to Indy, or maybe you're going to tie one on and you don't want to be feeling it the next day. How about our friends over at Z Biotics? Z Biotics is a pre-alcohol, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by a PhD of scientists that tackle rough mornings after drinking, hangovers. They're going to help you nip those hangovers in the bud, and they're going to help you when you drink alcohol. The alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a byproduct, not dehydration, and the blame for your ref next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's going to do the work for you. So if you have it too many, you're not going to feel it the next day. So check it out. We love it. Of course, we've got a couple Z Biotics with us here on the trip, and when we celebrate a successful second day of joint practices, we'll probably go have a couple drinks as well, and Z Biotics is going to be the little appetizer to that. So vacations, weddings, birthdays, reunions, make sure you're armed with Z Biotic. Check out zbiotics.com/PHNX cards. You get 15% off your first order when you use PHNX cards as your promo code there. Don't miss out on that 15% off PHNX cards for your order of Z Biotics, and stop being hungover and get it, and don't have any more rough next days.
We're going to need that Z Biotics with how early our flight is on Friday morning. So I'm glad we stocked up.
That's right.
We got 1,300 watching live. Jump on over to YouTube. Drop a like for your boys if you could. Use that link
in the chat.
Drop a comment. Drop a comment in the chat. Hit that like. Hold that line and hit that like. Again, 1,300. No excuse. Let's at least get to 500 likes here and show my boys some love from Indy, the only cards-related podcast providing on-the-field coverage, post-game, and podcast game here. Topic 64, 199 Super Chat. Bo, the DBs, Damon, the DBs, how is the DB core looking after day one of joint practices with the Colts.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, our guy, Topic 64, friend of the program, our guy Damon was on the defensive side of the football field. Is going to give you the full breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, I first note that I thought that was interesting was Max Melton with the 1s and Starling Thomas back with the 2s. I thought that the rookies were getting some run there, as well as Darren Hall after a strong preseason performance, getting in with the 2s at the nickel corner spot behind Garrett Williams. So I liked what I saw out of the DBs today. Budda Baker, Jalen Thompson, and as well as Garrett Williams, Max Melton, and Sean Murphy-Bunting. That was your starting group. And I thought they looked pretty good every time they were on the field. Didn't see the Colts getting too much going offensively. It wasn't until later in practice that they really started getting going. So I'd say for the first 2/3 of the practice, the defense was really holding their own, and the DBs were impressive to me. But real quick, one thing I wanted to touch on that I didn't talk about earlier was Owen Papo. And Johnny, me and you, we did our linebacker breakdown because Bo took a much-deserved vacation during that time period. And I said that I wasn't super comfortable with the linebacking core as much as maybe a lot of Cardinals fans were feeling. But after watching Owen Papo in this first preseason game and also what I saw from him today, I'm feeling a lot better about it because I think he actually could be a pretty good contributor for this team this year.
Like you just see the way he moves on screen, on the practice field. Now, multiple pick sixes. He had a pick six of Joe Flacco today, as you reported, Damon. He had a pick six of Clayton Tune during training camp. Is this just not TJ Edwards 2.0? I mean, that's what it reminds me of. Let's call him an undersized speedster out of the SEC, somebody who's a day 3 pick or an undrafted pick, and then let's put him in the Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rawls school of kicking ass and taking names. Yeah. This back seven, as much concern, gentlemen, as I have about the pass rush of the edge rushers, not necessarily the front four, but the edge rushers, you just broke down. I have no concerns with the DB play because I saw it on Saturday night. They'll get beat by a Michael Pittman, because he's an elite player, but they're so fundamentally sound. They tackle, they play the ball well, and then I think that goes an extra mile with somebody like Papo, who, Bo, when he got drafted, this is somebody that played and started in the SEC since he was 18 years old, albeit Auburn. They had some change there. But, this time next year, I think we'd be pretty surprised if he's not vying for a starting job under Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawls.
As much as they love Kazir White, who's only under contract this season after signing a 2-year deal with the Cardinals, I hope that there's a spot for Kazir, but if there's not, the future of linebackers could be Owen Papo and Mack Wilson Sr. You love what you've seen from him. You really do. And we got to talk to him post-practice, and he gave us some insight on the – let's go first through his pick six of Joe Flacco. Take us to the pick six you had over there.
Oh, it was cool, man. I tried to bait him a little bit. Didn't even see me coming. Had a really good break, and took it to the crib. Felt really good, especially it being Joe Flacco. So, yeah.
That's the comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. And he was able to just second-year linebacker who didn't play that often last year, baited Joe Flacco, throwing a pick six and joint practices today. But that's the key here is this organization has high expectations for second-year players in this league and guys just playing second year in this organization to make a jump. And I asked Owen if he thought that he was going to make a leap and if things were slowing down for him out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's like just going through the second round of meetings, especially being under the same staff. It's just like recall everything, man, we installed this last year, so it's way faster on the field.
On having a conversation there.
The boys.
Yep. Just talking ball.
Jeez. Great stuff from Papo. We've kind of buried the lead a little bit of the show. So Kyler Murray dominates. Marvin Harrison Jr. returns to Indianapolis, his stomping grounds. Of course, Marvin Harrison Sr., member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We talked to Brian Baldinger earlier this week about, just returning to Indy. And I love this comment from Marv, and we're going to get to his comments here in a second, but he was on, I think, NFL radio, Sirius XM, and everybody who's comparing Marv to Fitz, he's like, I've been compared to a Hall of Fame receiver my whole life, my dad. And I knew that, but then when Marv says it out loud and you put two and two together, I'm like, yeah, man, we need to stop putting Marv in this box of he's going to be the next X, Y, and Z. This nobody is more ready. He's so uniquely positioned to be great for this team because of how he was raised. And now, like, if this is Malik Neighbors coming into Arizona, yeah, everybody's going to say, are you going to carry the baton of Fitzgerald, right? Rome Odunze, can you do that? Marv has been under the shadow in the best possible light of his dad since he was born. And I think that is going to perfectly suit him. He gets to leave the Midwest. He comes out to the West Coast, forge his own legacy. He is uniquely positioned to have immediate success and not be burdened by a legacy of fulfilling some, prophecy of Fitz or whomever.
Yeah, and we don't get the opportunity to kind of be in the other fans' shoes, right? We got to see 17 years of Larry Fitzgerald and how unbelievable that was, and how great he was on the field, and how it transcended the field of play, and all the unbelievable things that he's done for this community. And then, we're standing there watching practice, and people start going nuts, absolutely crazy. And it's because Marv Sr. starts rolling in and starts throwing footballs into the stands, and like that's how Larry Fitz would be received in Arizona as Marvin Harrison Jr. is received here. I mean, he's their version. We saw the big games from the Colts, and we saw, the connection between him and Peyton Manning, but we didn't know the details. He wasn't beloved really outside. Like, there was respect around the league, but I mean, he's this area's version of Fitz.
Yeah, Marv Sr. stole the show today. I mean, practice was going on both fields. And he's going around just signing mini footballs and throwing them into the crowd. And everybody stopped watching the practices just to watch Marv throw these footballs into the crowd. It was pretty unbelievable.
Gotta be cool for Marv. Have his dad out there.
He did, yeah. And he, we got to talk to Marv, as you mentioned today, and continues to be, a little tight-lipped. I think he's just laser focused on what he wants to accomplish here in his rookie year. I asked him, with Kyler Murray not playing in the 3 preseason games, how paramount these 2 practices are, and this was his answer.
That's going to be really important, especially going against different competition than against just our own team. So I definitely look forward to these 2 days and get better.
I mean, not much to it, but I mean, probably like that. That's not a great question. I mean, of course, these are huge because we don't get to connect against players that aren't, go up against guys that aren't on our own team. But they look great. Connected 4 times today, 4 for 4. There was no ball that hit the ground between Kyler Murray when he targeted Marvin Harrison Jr. today, and you love to see it.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we have a bite with regard to him playing only 3 snaps from Saturday, and I really liked his answer. Let's jump into that bite.
Yeah, I think JG just wanted me to really focus on my process leading up to the game, and that's kind of what we discussed. For that game, just get a routine going before pregame. So the playing 3 snaps was good. We got a chance to get out there and get some real competition against a different team. But other than that, it was nice.
Playing 3 snaps was good. I wanted to get my process in, and he's a creature of habit. Like, we talk about Darius Robinson being a creature of habit. I don't know if there's a bigger one in this rookie class than MHJ. It's like, I want to go out there. I'm not above doing anything for my team and my peers. I'm a fellow rookie, just like Trey Benson or Darius or Max Melton or whomever. And I mean, it's just, I watched that clip, and then I thought about the Hard Knocks clip with the Giants trying to coax him into ripping on Kyle McCord. And it's just like, this guy is Teflon. He's immune to any of this stuff. We are so spoiled with him, and he hasn't even played it down yet. And he just does and says all the right things.
Yeah, and it's rubbing off and showing up with his head coach, Jonathan Gannon, on being impressed by his 4th overall pick, rookie wide receiver.
Just honestly how consistent his day-to-day is. I think like normally first-year guys, you kind of help them along with that of, consistency and self-awareness, and he doesn't need much help with those things. So obviously on the field that takes care of itself, but I'm more impressed with him off the field. How he goes about his business has been really cool to watch.
Special, very special.
I was going to say.
Yeah, Gannon looks like he could play. I mean, that video of Gannon just now is like, did he get a lift in this morning? Looks like he might have been letting him.
Come on. So he told us that they had dinner with Shane Steichen last night, pretty close to here to this training facility. Yeah. And then he made sure to mention that I didn't have anything. I just drank water.
Water.
And that
He
checks
didn't eat
out.
dinner?
No, I think he probably has some like meal prep stuff that he brought with him or something. I think he was
like saying, "Hey, I didn't run up the tab with a bunch of drinks."
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably doesn't drink like that because he's got on creatine to get that water.
But we saw him in Indy earlier this year before we did our interview with him, and he was just like, you're not here in Indy to get gains or anything. He's not out in the gym maxing out, but he's still working out. I bet that the guy's body's his temple. He's not taking any days off.
I have no idea if he does or I would be shocked if Gannon partook in any cocktails of any kind, especially while on a work trip like this. I mean, he is so.
He said Steichen had a PowerPoint for everybody, and he was like taking notes. He was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
What? A PowerPoint at dinner?
Yeah.
Like this is the co-route to us meeting in the Super Bowl PowerPoint. Like here's what we need to accomplish.
I think it was the plan for the joint practices, and he had it like all mapped out in an itinerary for the entire Cardinals coaching staff beforehand.
Well, these are the two gentlemen that led to the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl. Like the fraud has been exposed, and he remains.
I was watching that, man.
Did we lose them?
They're having conversations during the practice, and they are like that. I was like, those are the two guys that are responsible for that team going to the Super Bowl. There's no, I don't have any doubts in my mind.
So supposedly, Jason Kelce had a recent podcast. He went on a podcast with Eagle X Media or whomever, and basically, I may be able to find the clip. Said that Jonathan Gannon, after he left, the infrastructure of the Eagles like fell apart.
No.
And Steichen was a big part of that. But like, I do think that like Steichen got a lot of credit last year, and rightfully so. But Steichen having to overcome what Gannon had to overcome, not even close. Like I know Steichen lost Anthony Richardson, but their schedule was a joke. Go look at the Colts schedule last year. It wasn't good. It was a lot of Raiders and then the Jaguars and the Titans, right? So like it was very trendy from the national media to say Steichen leaves, that place fell apart. Nobody gave Gannon love nationally, but I guarantee if you ask every player that was on that Eagles team from one year to the next, Gannon was the infrastructure, the glue of what kept everything in motion.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that they are that brain trust was impressive, and they're in their own way very impressive in their roles now as head coaches. It's I think that they're guys that if they can have a lot of success in this league going forward. It's not like they like when coaches say, and they preach it all the time, details. These guys live it. They live it. He's got a PowerPoint for both coaching staffs coming in and what they're going to do over the next 2 days.
And remember, Gannon was, before he got his coordinator job with Philadelphia, who's the DB coach here, was very popular. He molded guys like Kenny Moore, who just got paid. So, I mean, Gannon's, it's cliche. His imprint and this coaching staff's imprint, just like Bruce Arians, it's all over the NFL, right? Yep. They've got contacts everywhere. And that's why they're welcome to do these kind of joint practices. Let's get back to these super chats if we could. Dana Robinson, $2. Thank you so much, Dana, for the support. Trey looked decisive faster on outside runs today. Trey Benson, the rookie third rounder, who I think was plagued on Saturday against the Saints with the 2 O-line going against the first D-line for the Saints. How did Trey Benson look, the rookie out of the ACC?
Yeah, I thought both running backs, between James Conner and Trey Benson, they look solid. Amari Dermacado returned to the playing field today, the practice field, I should say. That was a welcome sight, even with the addition of a running back that they added before their trip to Indianapolis. So nice to see Amari out there, and then Michael Carter. I mean, you have to like that room overall. And as we went through the number crunch with the wide receivers, you're going to have to do the same with the running backs. Who's going to get the edge? Is it between like Amari and Michael Carter? Who's going to get the nod?
Be interesting to see. DeMercado, I'm glad he's back out there. He can't afford to miss any time. It's a highly contested position group. How about this?
Do you guys think that there's the last roster spot is going to be between that 6th receiver and that 5th running back potentially? Is there any chance they keep 5 running backs because of DJ Dallas just being a special teams guy?
I don't think so. I just don't. Where would they use him? How would they? I don't know. If you have a jersey on game day, they want to roll for you. So if
who's claiming DeMercado if he's cut?
Probably Dallas. I mean, I think Dallas is just sitting there like just waiting. Whoever you cut, can we please have you?
They just traded for Jordan Phillips, according to the chat.
Former Cardinal great Jordan Phillips. Remember that old move? Was Jordan? Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, so I think it's got to be 4, and you just have to trust your judgment on what you in the criteria that you're going to put for that spot in that room, and hopefully you get to bring that guy back. And I think that that's when you're rolling the dice with the receivers too. Whoever doesn't make the cut, whether it's Weaver or T. Palms or Chisnia, that maybe you can get them in roster them, after all the dust settles on your final roster, your final 53 to start the season.
I need to see Chesney on the 53-man roster. I'm digging my heels in on that. Low Dog, how about this? $20. Low Dog, thank you so much for the support on that level. Yeah. We appreciate that. I'm in Ohio, and I'm going to the game on Saturday. I got tickets for Monday Night Football against the Chargers. Hell yeah. Been a Cardinal fan since 1982. This will be my first home game. Hope to see you both at the tailgate. Low Dog, hit us up the week of. DM us. We will connect with you 100%. Absolutely. Enjoy the game this weekend, my friend. Thank you for the super chat. We will see you in Arizona later this fall. Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks for reaching out. Look forward to seeing you. Enjoy the game this week. And when we see you in that prime time game, October 21st.
Love seeing that. Love seeing this. Jack Everly, friend of the program, DM'd me earlier this week. He said, I'm becoming a diehard this week. I said, hell yeah, brother. Welcome. We love our friend Jack from overseas. We love all of our diehards. Pick up some merch right now. Shop the number 18 collection. Go PHNX.com. Marv was asked about it today. Still no update on his jersey, but in the meantime, you can pick up some fresh merch. The number 18 collection, go PHNX.com. I'm repping the math tee today. 1 + 18 = 6. My son loves this t-shirt. He asks for one like every day. I love all 3 of these tees, including the MHJ t-shirt, front and center, all black. And of course, who doesn't love a good Maserati Marv tee? Again, pick up a free shirt right now. Become a diehard at gophnx.com. Once you're a diehard, 20% off all future merchandise locker purchases. Load up, gear up for this fall with PHNX Cardinals merch, the new releases. Shop the number 18 collection, phnxlocker.com, gentlemen.
1,500 people watching now. Thank you for tuning in to PHNX Cardinals. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. We got you covered with all the Valley sports. Cardinals here, Suns, the Hot Snakes, the D-backs. How about ASU, U of A? One of those your schools? Yeah, you can watch daily coverage on all your teams. We appreciate everybody checking in. What was going on from joint practices today? Kyler Murray, his playmakers, looking rock solid. The offensive line and pass pro struggled against the defensive Colts the defensive line of the Colts and their pass rush group. But they were able to feast on where they kind of fell short in the defensive secondary. So, and then as Damon outlined, a strong defensive effort from the Arizona Cardinals. The question mark as far as this team goes going into the regular season once they wrap up preseason play after these next 2 games.
One thing I did want to mention real quick before we get out of here, that during the team defense stuff where the Cardinals were, putting their first team, second team defense out there, obviously you can't hit the quarterback. So there's not going to be any sort of sacks going on. I didn't see a whole lot of pressure. I thought that the run defense looked pretty solid. Every time the Colts decided to run the football, didn't really seem like it was going anywhere. But it did feel like Anthony Richardson had a lot of time in the pocket, standing still. I think I saw one would-be sack, and it was actually from Xavier Thomas, which is encouraging because Xavier Thomas, has a chance to step up on this team and be, potentially the leading pass rusher of this group. If
it's crazy,
it is crazy, and it doesn't really bode well if you told us that going into the season that a 5th-round rookie would be the guy leading the pass rush group. But I didn't see much out of a Dennis Gardeck or a Zaven Collins today that really, filled me with a bunch of confidence.
Yeah, those are guys where you like to the how they're multiple, how they have a bunch of skills, right? But they don't excel as far as getting to the quarterback. And that's where this defense is really going to have to figure a way out to generate pressure. But like defensive line is improved. They can generate one, which is going to be good when they're at full strength. And then you've got the second level of that. We talked about the linebackers from the starters, Kazir, Mack, your depth, Chris Barnes and Owen Papo, and then we like the DBs, right? With Sean Murphy Bunting and Max Melton and Garrett Williams, and then of course the safety play is the most proven commodity of this defense with Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. But
I think that Owen Papo becomes even more important with the lack of pass rush because he is more of a coverage specialist linebacker potentially. And I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think, Mac Wilson's probably best when he's kind of like a hybrid rusher type of linebacker. Because you're White, I don't really think of him as like a coverage based guy. He's more of like a fill the hole type of and stop the run type of guy. So I think that, that really does open up that opportunity for Papo potentially with the pass rush struggling.
Perfect segue. Topic 64, 499. Thank you so much. Bo, JB, you think they move Mac to D-end outside linebacker? You can have a rotation Mac, Gardeck, Zaven Collins, and then let Papo and Kazir White run a linebacker. I think so. And they're going to run a lot of single set linebacker, where it's only Kazir. And I think that gives Mac an opportunity. I think to your point, topic 64, and to your point, Damon, Mac Wilson is going to be involved in the pass rush in some way, shape, or form. I think it was trending toward that before B.J. Ojulari went down. They were going to see, remember, he was being asked about it. But I think if you're sitting here and you're expecting different results from your Gardecks and your Dumakages, I mean, doing the same thing over and over, isn't that, and expecting different results, isn't that the definition of insanity? Like, we know what those guys are and what they aren't. You're not going to be watching a game, in my opinion, this year and see Dennis Gardeck or Zaven Collins, put on these elite pass rush moves and get 12 to 15 sacks. That's just not who they are. Right. They are high effort guys. You want them on your team, but there's a limitation there. And there's certainly a limitation with the guys that are behind them. And I still fully expect, gentlemen, like if you're Jesse Luketa and Victor Dumakaji and Cameron Thomas, like, you need to show something, not only these joint practices, these next 2 preseason games, because just like we mentioned, other teams looking for a DeMercado, when the Cardinals maybe release a player like that, the Cardinals are going to be looking for pass rush help. And it may not come for a couple more weeks, but nobody can feel comfortable in that group. They're just not solidified enough. The Cardinals, they know exactly what they need to do, and that position group right now is incredibly vulnerable. That's why they're sniffing around Judon. That's why they worked out Carl Lawson. Damon, as you mentioned, they are being proactive. It's not like they're sitting here and saying, we have all the answers. They know they don't. I mean, so I think Reddick is still very much in play. So I would be surprised, and I don't know, I'm just putting this out there, if they did not put forth an effort to make a trade, maybe it's a late round pick for somebody to help on the edge. If there is an opportunity for you, if you're hearing a player is going to be cut and you're making phone calls and you're not ahead of a team in the waiver wire, kick somebody a 6th or a 7th round pick for a rotational guy. Now, they're not going to be the savior of your defense. It's not the front page headlines of a Reddick or a Judon. That feels very Monty to me, where you're like, oh, this guy was about to be cut. Let's go and take him.
I think collectively you're in a much better spot, though. I mean, like we said, I mean, you have one area that is a glaring need, but it really is creating pressure off the edge, where I think that up front, where we asked and pounded the table, like, you got to improve this defensive line group, and they absolutely did that. And we said, you got to go get more corners out there. You can't be starting, day 3 guys, 6 round guys, undrafted guys.
Marco Wilson.
Right. Marco Wilson, holdovers from the previous regime, Kime picks. You got to go get, some solid corners. They did, but you can't fix all your needs in a single offseason. And I think that, they still need to find a way out to do it beyond just scheme. But for right now, I think that they're in a holding pattern to see who becomes available between now and the start of the season, and then maybe beyond that.
I like that they're being proactive, at least. I like that they are doing their due diligence, because, again, like, everything that you two guys reported today should get Cardinal fans. The regular season can't get here fast enough. We didn't even talk about the Bills losing a receiver, Matthew Stafford leaving practice, the Vikings are in shambles. Like, the Cardinals are in prime position to make the playoffs in the NFC. They just need something a little bit over the top to get them there. And we'll see if it happens between now and the end of the month. Between now and the end of the week, we got more joint practices to cover live from Indianapolis. Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, PHNX Cardinals, keep it locked in. Follow my two peers. Do a tremendous job. They had the best content, the most consistent content you could find on the practice field. Not only clips, because you guys are only allowed so much time to post the clips, but posting live updates, great breakdowns that you can't find anywhere else. The content doesn't stop here at PHNX Cardinals. We will be back live again tomorrow to recap day 2, maybe same time, maybe a little bit earlier. It's super important. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Click the bell notification for any time we go live. And then also find us wherever you get your podcasts. PHNX Cardinals. Drop a like. We want 500 likes on this show at minimum, because we got the best damn Cardinal podcast going, and we are live in Indianapolis. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your hard work today. Greatly appreciated.
Well, we're thanking people for their hard work. Want to make a shout out to our head of production, Jacob Franklin, making a move. He's not leaving All City, but he's going on to bigger and better things. But instrumental to the success of this program, the show. Young Damon mentored him. It's going to continue to, hopefully, maybe some life lessons and teach him a few more things. But
I was but a wee lad when Jacob decided to hire me.
He did. He brought you on. He molded you, and he put you in a spot to become the award-winning producer that you are today. But we, truthfully, from the bottom of our hearts, thankful for everything that Jacob Franklin has done for the show and this company, and wishing you all the best of success to you and your family going forward. Thanks for everything, Jacob Franklin. Let's wrap things up, and then we'll be back with you all tomorrow right here from joint practices in Indy. For Johnny Venerable, Damon, Dawg, make sure you follow him at Twitter at Damon Dawg, and of course at PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter and Instagram. I'm Bo Brack. Talk to you then on PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.